Hi, I'm Liv and welcome back to the Book Nook. Hey guys, so it is finally February. January feels like it dragged 5 Mondays. 5 Mondays. So as you guys may have noticed if you follow me on Twitter, my first vlog for the Waterstones vlog has gone live on Friday. I will link that down below. I talk about Ali Smith's Girl Meets Boy and how excited I am about that book and how much I love it. So do please feel free to check that video out. As I say, I'll link it down below. And also I think when I'm recording this, I'm only about 13 subscribers away from 1,000, which is bonkers. So just a reminder that if I hit 1,000 subscribers, I shall do a giveaway. UK only, I am broke. So for this video, I'm going to wrap up the last few books that I read in January, have a little chat about my reading month in January, and then just have a bit of a general chat about some things I've been thinking about, if that's okay. So the first one of the last lot of books that I read in January is 100 Nights of Hero by Isabel Greenberg. This is one that I've heard loads of people raving about, and I've always I don't know why I've always put off getting it. I don't know why. It doesn't really make any sense because I loved it. It is an absolutely gorgeously illustrated and gorgeously put together. I mean, just these sort of chapter headings, aren't they just gorgeous? I love them to the point where if I was rich enough to afford a second copy, just to like cut those out and frame them and have them all on a wall, I would, but I also wouldn't because that would be, I was gonna say defecating a book, but that's not what I mean, defacing. Looks like today's a good talky day. But this is just an absolute sort of love letter to storytelling, and it is just absolutely gorgeous, and it's definitely very much what I needed at the time. I needed something loving and cosy and queer and wonderful, and yeah, I just absolutely adored this. So for those of you who don't know what 100 Nights of Hero is about, it is about a woman called Cherry who is married to a bit of a git, and his friend is even more of a git, and when the friend is going off for 100 days, he says, right, I bet you I can seduce your wife, I'm just that good. And the guy is so sure of Cherry's virtue and that she is not a woman who does sex things, that he says, sure, you've got 100 nights, if you seduce her, you can have her, if you don't, I get your castle. Because women and property are the same, right? And then we find out that Cherry is actually in love with Hero, who is sort of like her handmaiden type thing, and the two of them have been in love for years and are amazing and lovely, and what they do is they overhear this conversation that he's going to have 100 days to try and seduce her. And Hero saves the day essentially by telling stories that even this guy gets captivated by, and sort of confusing him as to what day it is, and all the guards are sort of listening and loving these stories and end up rooting for Cherry and Hero, and it's just absolutely wonderful. The stories in there that Hero tells are just brilliant little stories. They're like fairy tales but about stories, and they are just absolutely wonderful. So this is very much a cosy kind of remember why you love reading and love stories book, but it's also a comment about men. Shitty men. I'm not quite with it enough to talk about it in much more depth than that, but suffice to say, I absolutely loved this. Then I read a tiny little slip of a thing, which I originally thought was a novella in and of itself, but then I have realised it is not, and that is Elissa Bank, The Worst Thing a Suburban Girl Could Imagine. As I say, I thought this was just a novella, and it's one of the Penguin pockets that were produced for Penguin's 70th birthday. And it was one that I picked up a while ago, second hand, and I just fancied something short and snappy, and a lot happens in this. It is about a woman called Jane, who essentially her father is sick, and she is in a relationship with an older man, who she has already been in a relationship with previously, but has moved away from and then gone back to, and she's in a job, and the job has started changing, and she's wondering if she really wants to be doing this anymore, and it is just really, really good. Snappy writing, really sort of fresh, really incisive, very, very enjoyable, and as I say, I have since realised and, you know, actually paid attention to what it says on the back, and this is one story from The Girl's Guide to Hunting and Fishing, which was published in 1999 by Elissa Bank, which I am now going to pick up because they are apparently a series of sort of linked stories all surrounding the same girl, Jane, and I really, really enjoyed this one, so I'm going to read more. Then I read a book which I absolutely loved, and it was one that it wasn't initially on my list of books to look out for the year. I'd started seeing bits about it, and something about it I was resisting for some reason. And then it got to the point where I'd seen enough about it. I was like, oh, okay, let's look into this. And it sounded very much my kind of thing. And that is The Earlie King and the Kid in Yellow by Danny Denton, and it's published by Granta. Now this one, if nobody else gets there first on the Waterstones vlog, I'm probably going to wax lyrical about this one for my next Waterstones vlog. But for the time being, I'm going to say, first of all, I ended up buying a copy of this gorgeous cover, which is already a contender for one of my favourite cover designs of the year. Absolutely sums up the book. Before and after reading it, somehow it summed up the book. It's just absolutely perfect. It is gorgeous, continues around the back, and you've got the front flaps, and oh, in love with this. And I did also have a copy of the proof, which is the one that I read, because I'd actually bought a copy and then like the next day discovered we'd had the proof then. So this is the story of the Earlie King and the Kid in Yellow, and it's set in a seemingly post-apocalyptic Ireland where it doesn't stop raining at all. It is flooded. Vast swathes of the country are underwater. There are sort of a few pockets of civilization remaining, and in this particular part of Ireland it is kind of ruled by the Earlie King, who is basically a bit of a gangster. And the Earlie King runs what is left of this city, and he has all of these underlings. And then this kid, the Kid in Yellow, falls in love with the king's daughter, and the king's daughter has a baby, and the king's daughter dies, giving birth to that baby, and the Kid in Yellow is cast out because the king's daughter made him promise not to kill the kid. There's not a lot I can say. I don't want to spoil much in this book, but suffice it to say, it is just absolutely stunning. The way it is written, it is like, you guys know I loved Yuri Herrera's Kingdom Cons, and that has that gangland sort of influence, and it's also got like a George Saunders feel to it, an Eamon McBride feel to it. It's just this kind of relentless, lyrically inventive, incredible book that just absolutely transported me. And it does something with structure as well, which you guys know is my thing, where it has bits of plays interspersed. There's all these other characters as well that sort of drift in and out that are just amazing. You've got Mr. Violence, St. Vincent de Paul, the reporter O'Casey, and Mr. Violence is just the kind of personification of violence, and he sort of drifts in and out and comes in cackling along at the violence, and Vincent de Paul is setting fire to things in protest of the government, and a lot goes on. It also plays with religion. At one point, a statue of the Virgin Mary apparently tells somebody, you know, it's going to stop raining soon, and suddenly it's a shrine and everybody's going to see this Virgin Mary and see if, you know, she really has come to life. Oh, I have forgotten, like a major plot point, that the Kid in Yellow steals the baby from the Earlie King. You may have guessed. It is this twisty-turny book with so many facets going on. You've got the Earlie boys looking for the Kid in Yellow and the baby. You've got reporter O'Casey trying to figure out what's going on. You've got Mr. Violence going around causing havoc, and Vincent de Paul setting fire to things, and then you've got a police officer who, the police are pretty ineffectual, but he decides no, he's going to try and find out what the hell is going on. And then you have some sort of slight flashbacks to the Kid in Yellow and the king's daughter T and their relationship, and there is just something so utterly captivating about this book. As I say, it's lyrical, it's gritty, it's dark, it's very, very rainy, and you feel that sort of atmosphere permeating through it. And it's got this futuristic element as well. As you start to read it, you think it's sort of post-apocalyptic now, and then there are elements that you realise, no, it's sort of a future post-apocalyptic thing, but at no point does that sort of take over any of the characters and what's happening, and it has just got this quality to the writing that's just so, so captivating. I will say it is a very male novel. The only female characters you ever encounter are either dead or mothers of dead boys or working in pubs. And that does kind of grate on me in general, but there was something about it that's kind of like, in this book, it's kind of that removal of the female influence in here that maybe is a lot of the problem. I don't really know where I was going with that. I need to think about that more, because yes, it is a very male book, but I think there is a reason for that. And maybe there is, and maybe I'm wrong, and I don't know, I need to think about that more. But basically, I thoroughly enjoyed this book. It plays with form the way I like. It does something magical with language. Gritty, dark, moving, characters you take to your heart. You want to find out what's going on, and one of the best book designs so far this year. So I am absolutely sold on this one. Really, really loved it. I think there are a lot of people out there who will enjoy this. As I say, if you like George Saunders, Eamon McBride, things like that. And what was the other one I said that it reminded me of? I can't bloody remember now, but it is kind of Shakespearean in its scope as well, and it just does this amazing thing. It is electric. For all of the water that's in there, it's dangerously electric and on fire. So yeah, I thoroughly, thoroughly recommend The Earlie King and the Kid in Yellow by Danny Denton, published by Granta. Prettiest Book of the Year award, possibly. We shall see. I didn't do a Prettiest Book of the Year award in my Book Nook Awards, did I? That'll be happening this year. So those are the last of the books that I finished in January. There's 2 that I haven't finished, and okay, yeah, let's just talk about them. First one is David Hayden's Darker with the Lights On. Now, I am enjoying this, I think, these collection of stories. I'm just shy of halfway through, because you can't really read more than one at a time without getting so confused. They're just so weird, and this is me talking. I like my weirdy and my confusing, and there is something very magical about each of the stories in itself. But, having said that, each one is just a bit, and a few of them I've finished and thought, am I not clever? Am I not getting, what am I not getting here? Am I being stupid? Is there more to this than I'm getting? So yeah, I'm just a little bit slowing down with this one, apart from the fact it's February anyway. But yeah, just a little bit kind of, and as I say, I like me, weirdy, and this is just a bit kind of, what? I may totally change my mind by the time I finish it. I may read some more, end up going back, but we shall see. The other one that I am still working my way through is Fire and Fury Inside the Trump White House. I feel like this is one that's just going to take a while. Not because it's particularly challenging to read in terms of the writing, it's not sort of particularly dry, and it's not like a huge book, it's just more the fact that you have to be in a particular frame of mind to want anything to do with Donald Trump, and it is all a little bit like, oh god, what is happening with the world? And a lot of the other sort of issues around it that I've sort of hinted at in terms of, you know, all the sort of stuff that's come out afterwards and the caveats to it. It's going to be one that takes a little while. So yeah, that's January. February has started slowly for me. As I mentioned in my last couple of videos, like February and particularly the beginning of February is going to be quite busy at work, and I'm not quite fully all with it again at the moment. I'm getting there, but everything's just still a little bit fuzzy. I've started 3 books, but only read about 2 pages and then just not been able to concentrate on them, or left it at work. So I started reading Helen McClory's Mayhem and Death on the bus on the way home, and enjoying that so far, but then I just sort of put it down and not picked it up, not for any reason of the book. Left The Left Hand of Darkness at work, and I had only read the 2 introductions, and I have started Alias Grace today, and I've only read about 2 of the little chapters of that. So yeah, everything's a bit slow at the moment, and I wish it to speed up a little. And in general, I guess I just wanted to chat about what you guys want to see from this channel going forward into 2018, because I'm having that has happened already semi-regularly and will happen again, I'm sure, in the future. Not panic, but just thinking of, oh, I just seem to be doing hauls, wrap-ups, hauls, wrap-ups, hauls, wrap-ups. And the only non-haul and wrap-up videos I tend to do are sort of piggybacking or joining in on other people's ideas, which, don't get me wrong, I love doing, but I'm conscious of, like, no original thoughts. Yeah, and I think I mentioned this on Twitter the other day, and, you know, Simon was very wise and said, you know, don't force it, just chill, calm down, and something will come to you. And I'm sure something will. But I just wanted to see from you guys what kind of stuff you'd maybe like to see. Because, you know, as we go forward into the year and into time, for that is how time works, I'm just conscious that, you know, I want to make videos that I enjoy doing, obviously, but I don't want to just do videos that I enjoy doing if nobody likes watching them, obviously, and I just want to see what you guys would enjoy watching, obviously. Because I am always conscious of kind of the cult of hauls, wrap-ups, hauls, wrap-ups, hauls, wrap-ups, hauls, wrap-ups, hauls, wrap-ups. So yeah, I guess just have a little chat with me in the comments below about anything you'd like to see on this channel, any ideas you've got, things, and then see, even now I'm like, oh, you're asking other people for ideas, no original thoughts. I'm going to try not to stress about it and just keep on for a little while and, you know, try to just let myself relax. I'm sure something will come to me, but in the meantime, if there's anything in particular you'd like to see, then have a little chat. Yeah, other than that, my next video, ironically, is going to be a haul, and it's going to be a big one. Second half of January was kind to me in terms of books, where I was kind to myself, and publishers were kind to me, and it's silly big. Hopefully, after the January haul, I will be feeling more fully February. I think that's part of the problem, is I've been thinking, oh, I've got a January wrap-up still to do and a January haul still to do, so my mind has been partially still in January, and like, January was long enough. I do not need to linger there. So yeah, onwards and upwards. So the haul we go. It's really stupidly big. So thanks very much for tolerating this today. I will see you in my next video in a couple of days' time, which will be that super massive haul, and yeah, see you soon. Bye bye.